Hi, this video is about the new Alembic support in MtoA 3 and about how to use it in combination with the new operator nodes. So in this file, I have a GPU cache, so a Maya native Alembic node referencing an Alembic file here. But so far in previous versions, nothing rendered in Arnold. So now if I render this, I'm going to see the geometry here. We have a new Arnold section in the GPU cache node with the usual Arnold visibility attributes, a few options about how Alembic is translated to Arnold, and we even have a list of Alembic of contents from the Alembic file so we can see what's inside. If you double click on one of them, it's isolating the desired element. And to finish, we also have a list of overrides. So we can say that, for example, all the polymeshes are going to have uh, these parameters. So for example, here we have subdivision. So if we check here, we can see that it's tessellated. And if I enable overrides, now it's smoother. So it's applying well. But most of the time, we need a finer control and not to apply something on all the nodes from the Alembic file, in particular for shader assignment. And that's where operators become useful because you can control exactly what happens on each of the nodes in the Arnold scene. So operators are a new type of nodes that allow to modify the Arnold scene, change parameter values, hide nodes, create nodes eventually, and they are applied in the Arnold scene. So you can affect nodes that don't exist in the Maya scene. For example, when you have a stand-in and several nodes are inside the stand-in or an Alembic file like here. So one first example of operator node is disable. So it's simply hiding geometry. So when you create an operator, the first thing you have to set is the selection. It means which nodes are going to be affected by this operator. So if I copy the name of this object, well, it's simply hiding it. So far, it's not very interesting. It becomes a bit more interesting when you start having regular expressions because it means that each of the nodes in the scene that start with this string in its name is going to be hidden, for example. Still, this is something you could do, for example, with render setup. It becomes more interesting when you start introspecting the node. Here I'm toggling this operator off. So for example, if I go in this file, I can check here the hierarchy and the name, and I want, for example, to hide everything that is below this in the hierarchy. So I'm going to go in the operator selection, and the way you have to type it is that when you have a stand-in or an alembic, you put slash after the name, and then you can go inside of the sub-objects. So here the name is grp scale root underscore cn. So I'm saying that all these nodes now are getting hidden. So let's toggle this on, and you can see that the weapon here has disappeared. What's around the neck has disappeared. So yeah, I'm now editing specific nodes inside the Alembic file. And what's interesting also is that each operator can have a list of inputs which reference other operators and which are going to be also processed. We use the word cooking, which are going to be cooked when this operator is processed. And this means that you can have a graph of operators. So here in the node editor, I can see a few operators that I have in this scene. And let's check what each of them is doing. So this is a set parameter operator. It's maybe the most interesting. It allows to change the parameters from Arnold nodes. So here it is saying that everything that has hair or brow in its name, so it's regular expressions with a star, so it says stars hair star or star brow star, is going to be affected by what we're doing here. And here we have two assignments, one that sets the shader to hair mats and another one that sets the displacement. So if you want to know exactly the name of the attributes and etc., you can export, for example, scene to as to .as, the Arnold file format, and then you check exactly the parameter names. So we might wonder where this shader comes from. It's actually in my scene here. Where is it? Here, material. It's here. So it's a shader which is in my Maya scene, and I'm saying that I want these nose here, so it's basically it's the hair, to be shaded with this shader. In the future, these shaders will be exported automatically. For now, to make sure that this works, you should have this parameter enabled, export all shading groups, because otherwise, if the shader is not assigned to any shape, it might not make it to the Arnold scene. So if I come back here in the render settings in my target operator, the target is the one that is being processed. So if I set this one, you're going to see that now it's rendering and it's assigning these shaders only to the hair. So I have the same here for the eyes, the teeth, and there is another one called set Sven, which sets the head shader to head or gums or tongue. So everything that has head, gums, or tongue in its name. And note that here I'm not setting the name of the Alembic node. So if I had several Alembic nodes, this, the way it's written here, would apply to all of them. And also, it has 4 inputs here. So cornea, eyes, hair, and teeth. And so it's going to also process each of them. So now if I set this node as the root one, we can see that now it's rendering with all the head and hair shaders. Similarly, I have another one for the suits. So it has gun, metal, and jetpack on its inputs. And if I choose this one as my root operator, now I see the shaders. I no longer have the head because this becomes my root, but now I have the sweet shaders. There is a third one here, which is not doing modification based on the names, but based on the type. So it's saying here, everything that is a polymesh, I'm going to apply this. So it's setting subdivision to 2, for example. So this, if I set this one as my base, my target operator, here it goes. So the shaders are gone, but I have the subdivision I want. And these 3 operators are linked to the root operator, which is a merge operator that basically is a bypass, is a pass-through that just has several inputs. And if I finally use this one as my root operator, now I have everything which is applied in my Alembic file. So it is really a powerful tool. There are still some things to be improved to make it more usable inside of Maya, but it's a very powerful tool. And so here I'm using it with Alembic, but we could also use it with a stand-in, so and set specific parameters or shaders in a stand-in file. I'm going to show an example here with a car scene. So let's render. This is a stand-in with a car and no shaders at all. It's only the geometry. And I have an operator, a MaterialX operator, where I'm saying that I'm applying this MaterialX file that I've created, which has 2 shading trees, one called yellow and another called bunkers. So it's several looks inside the MaterialX file. It says which geometries are assigned to which shaders. So now if I go in the render settings, in the operators, and choose this one as my root operator, it's now shading with this look, so bunkers. And if I switch to the other one, now it's rendering with a different set of materials. So for now, it requires some R&D to create the MaterialX files. It's in a specific format, and it says which are the shading assignments and possibly other information about the visibility and other stuff. But this is something we're working on for future versions. So thanks for watching.